Welcome to Write Your Narrative, your weekly go-to Sweet Odd podcast.
There's just so much culture and life in South Florida.
Art helped me find myself.
I can sit here and complain that Miami doesn't have any of these things, or I can find a way to do it.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
We have changed the conversation.
You're in the right place.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Write Your Narrative. We are today in Wynwood, and we are recording from the Win 317 studio. And my guest is Mars, also known as Sick Girl on Instagram.
Yes, I mean, the Instagram handle, that's just an old handle, which is hilarious because, I didn't really want to put, Mars on there because I was very conflicted, social media and doing illegal stuff is not really the vibe, kind of snitching on yourself there.
Yeah.
So, I was like, let me not put Mars on as my handle. So I just used this old name that I had for back in the day when AOL Instant Messenger was around.
Ooh.
So that's literally that old. And it's funny because then people, they're like, sick girl. I'm like, what the fuck did you just call me? I'm like, that's not my name. You clearly don't know me. So don't talk to me.
So don't talk to me.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'm just kidding.
Well, so talking about illegal stuff, you doing illegal stuff? But no, graffiti's writers are not doing anything illegal.
No.
No.
I did not say that. I'm just kidding.
Maybe sometime on freight trains?
Yeah, well, it happens. I mean, honestly,
It happens.
yeah. That's what we do.
That's what you guys do, yes. I mean, those freight trains, they'll go back to the late 70s, early 80s, back in New York, when everybody was doing those trains
the
over there.
subways.
Yeah, the subways.
Definitely that
They were
was
passengers train, yes.
a big influence on the freight scene because it's different. Passenger
Totally, yes.
passenger cars and cargo freight cars, very, very different scene altogether. So in Miami, we don't really have passenger cars. We have one.
Yeah.
And and then we do get a couple freight cars, but for the most part, it's very different.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with Ernie Vallis a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
When he was up in New York, he would stay on one side of the track, and he would stay by the end of the train station, waiting for the train to come back, make a U-turn, and come back the other way to see the other side of the train.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have all that huge community of benchers, all these people who are looking for trains.
Yeah, we love those benchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they will definitely make you seen, and then you don't have to promote yourself, which is it's weird. It's weird nowadays because back then graffiti was more was considered kind of toy to promote yourself, and then post pictures of yourself painting illegal stuff and then putting it on social media. It's weird now because now it's more open and people are more comfortable sharing what they look like, as opposed to back then when it was seen as a toy thing to do to not be anonymous,
Yeah. But it's something have you done this when you first started your career, your graffiti career? Were you wearing a mask? Were you trying to be
So when I started, social media wasn't really a thing.
It wasn't there, yeah.
Yeah, and for the most part, no, I was not trying to let people know that was me doing that. I started when I was 15, and I would do a lot of
super young.
Yeah, and I would do a lot of dumb young. I would call myself a toy at that point because I didn't have any style. I didn't have any form. It was really ugly. And the whole point was just getting your name out there and just having fun and the thrill of it too, So, I was not trying to let people know that was me doing that. And I was definitely not putting pictures of myself with the name out there when I was doing more of a vandalism style stuff.
But this was more like the vandalism, the tagging, basically.
Exactly.
That's what it was, just the tagging, using a marker, and then that's it.
Exactly. Or a spray can,
can, yes.
But definitely just stuff that was you're not really promoting yourself you know.
But you were already tagging Mars at the time.
Yes, I was.
Also, that's it. It's always been Mars.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go through different phases,
No.
different names, different no.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, some people do that sometimes.
Yeah,
Change or
I
change the
understand.
spelling once in a while.
Yeah, before I would do it with the Z a lot, like MARZ, and then
Okay.
I kind of dropped the Z, and like I don't really do the Z anymore, and I kind of do the S now. But you know, now that I'm a little older, you know, it's been a long time, you know, that I've been in the game, and I really try not to push too much of the vandalism side, just because of
course.
the, you know, I'm not trying to get in trouble anymore.
Anymore. All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
Oh, you live and learn.
Yeah,
And you grew up, you are a little bit wiser, maybe.
yeah. Well, I really respect and admire people that, you know, do all the vandalism stuff like nonstop, where they get up like in like insane places where, you know, you spoke about the rappelling and like that, or like even climbing on like heavens. We call them heavens. So like, you know, green signs, like the, you know, the interstate signs, or climbing on a billboard. Like I've personally,
Heavens, okay.
yeah, they call
I
them
never-
heavens. Yeah.
I never heard that
Because they're up
expression.
in the
Yeah,
air
yeah,
in the
yeah.
sky. So for me, I'm very afraid of heights, and you know, I am also not very fit, and I understand that because I'm a female. I'm not saying I'm fat or anything, but what I mean is like literally like I'm a female, and I understand that I have a weaker anatomy than certain men that have muscles, and I can't do a fucking pull up, like, you know. And men, they're like, oh yeah,
You could work on that.
I could, but see, like I said, I'm not very fit. So I'm not trying to like risk my life climbing on stuff when like that's not my.
No, you just want to have a good time, get up, do your stuff.
Yeah, like I'd rather risk my life dealing with a police officer
Oh, yeah.
and like hiding under a train from an engine or something. Like I'd rather do that.
You rather do that?
Yes, 100%.
wow.
100%.
Yeah, getting under a train, it's something that Ernie Vallis mentioned to me. He did it twice, and the trains were moving.
Ooh, no. See, like
That
you
twice
have to be
in New York.
No. You have to. Well, in New York, it's different because it depends. Like we're saying, if it's a subway, if it's a passenger car, then you know those get watched a lot because you know they cost a lot of money.
Well, but that was back in the 80s.
Oh, well,
He was younger. Everybody was younger back in the 80s, and he did
New
it
York-
twice, he said.
New York in the 80s, it was like I forgot what they used to call the subway, but it was literally like hell on wheels. They would call it.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, because like you would get mugged, robbed. And there was tags all over the subway, so it was like I don't want to say more acceptable, but it was like there was like less police like presence in a sense, where like a bunch of police officers got laid off in New York, you know.
Yeah.
So like they didn't have a lot of police presence, and that's why it was more prevalent, you know, the graffiti and like the crime per se.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's something weirdly happened here in Miami after the Hurricane Andrews. There were so many abandoned buildings that like the graffiti. Were you here at the time?
I was like in kindergarten. So
Kindergarten?
yes. So yeah, I did experience Andrew,
Yeah.
but not in that way. Like
Okay.
I had no idea what graffiti really was when I was like.
So you didn't get to experience those pennies that we discussed with the kids in previous podcasts and everything?
Keds, he's super old school in a good way. Because he knows all the really, really cool shit that happened in Miami back in the day. And yeah, he has great stories and amazing pictures of like all their productions. Shout out to Damn Crew. They're really fucking dope crew in Miami. And no, I didn't get to go to a lot of them because they got knocked down before I was even around. But like the Marina pennant, that one was one that it's still, you know, it's still up. Gloria Stefan owns it now. And I believe so. I don't know. But I used to paint there a lot. And I just got kind of upset when they like, you know, bought it because they were trying to save it. But like they should have just left it because it was a lot more fun when you could go in there and actually like paint. And the whole thing with pennants is they're great for people that are like trying to practice and like, you know, kind of get their style. Because pennants, like there's not really like rules to the pennant. Like people would just paint over whatever in a pennant because it's a pennant. And I used to go to the Chrome pennant, which was like the Chrome Detention Center, like out in Chrome. I used to go there a lot too, but they also like that one they knocked down completely, so that one doesn't exist. So yeah, there's not really a lot of like pennants, as we call it here.
Yeah.
You know,
But you get to experience and actually
a couple of
practice this,
Yes.
practice your art work,
Yes.
art form.
Yes, exactly.
As we know now, graffiti is a totally recognized art form.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yes.
And that's kind of like, because I still do illegal stuff. Like I'll still catch tags or whatever. But for the most part, like I try to like focus more now that I have the experience of like using a spray can. I try to focus more on like murals, like for businesses. And I'm like really big on like sign painting. And I love fonts and numbers and letters. That's what I love to do. So for me, it really helped me like doing sign painting with like my graffiti letter structure, because I'm not very like wild style. Like I don't really have like a crazy wild style. I just like things to be very clean and legible. Yeah. And that's more like my style. And I also really enjoy painting characters. And that's one thing that I found the love for, really, because I had never in my life thought that I would enjoy painting characters with spray paint, but I practiced so much that I became really well at doing it. Yeah. So when I am presented with a project and they're like, "Oh, we want characters," I'm like, "Okay, like that's cake." I got it. Like I got it. So it's really fun to just be able to show up and do something and not have to stress, you know? Yeah. Just because of the experience that I've had.
You're talking about experience, but do you actually had any kind of training, schooling? Did you go to any art school or something? Or you just
So I've always loved art when I was younger, and like, you know, in elementary school, they put you in art class. Yeah. And funny enough, like I found out I was really good at drawing cartoon characters. So like all the kids would be like, "Oh, draw me real monsters and draw me like Powerpuff Girls." I would draw all the cartoons and I'd be like, "Okay, I'm actually good at drawing cartoons." And like I kind of just stuck with that, but I never really saw art as like a career. Like I always liked art, but I never wanted to feel pressured to do it. So I never took any art classes in high school. But then like my senior year, I was kind of like, you know what? I need to get back into doing art. Like I'm actually really good at it. So let me like explore it.
Like see, yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything, because I mean there's people that are like amazing, but like for me personally, like as a goal, I was like, oh, I can do this. Like I felt confident in myself to actually say I can do this. So I did start taking, like I took like AP portfolio in high school, but I actually got kicked out of high school my senior year for graffiti.
For graffiti already?
Yes.
You got in trouble?
Yes. Yeah. There was a girl that went to my high school and she was like really mad that her boyfriend was in my cousin's graffiti crew that I was in. And she just hated me. And I had a photo bucket like online. This is like 2000.
Okay, I remember this. Yes.
Like before a lot of stuff. So she was just like upset that like I took pictures at homecoming with like people, and like her boyfriend was in the picture, and she was like, "Take that picture down." And I was like, "I'm not gonna take this picture down, like you're crazy." And then she decided, because I didn't want to take this picture down from my photo bucket online, which, you know, it was like kind of like my private photo bucket. I don't know how she got the link to it, but whatever. She decided to go to the Kendall gang unit in Miami, like in Kendall. And the gang unit was already kind of dying, because like they were really prevalent like when like MSG and STV and TSC and like all those UFO, like all those crews back then were like, you know, basically smashing Kendall. And, you know, they were more like gang related cops that would like, you know, deal with gangs. But since graffiti crews, they would consider them gangs. So like, I don't know. They decided like, oh, okay, we're gonna like get this girl. So like they go to my high school. I'm 17 years old, and then they like pull up my photo bucket, and I'm like, oh my God, where did they get this? And like in one of the pictures, there was like a little tag like in the background. I don't know, like, you know, they did their detective work. So they were like, oh, you're that girl that's writing Mars all over Kendall. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh. Yeah. And I was like, no, it wasn't me. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just do art. And they went to my portfolio class and they took my art portfolio and they started going through everything. And I was like, I'm fine. Like, I don't do graffiti for art when I was taking this class. I was doing portraits. I was painting portraits. I was trying to get into New World School of the Arts. Oh, so I was like building my portfolio to be accepted into the school. And I was like, I'm fine. They're not going to find anything. And, you know, I had an old Nokia phone, so it has no password. So they're like going through my phone like, oh, yeah, who's this writer? Like,
Really?
they were trying to ask me who all these writers were like in Miami. And I was like, look, I have no idea. So they started going through my phone and they didn't find anything because I really didn't save people's names under their tags. So like they were like, whatever. But then they ended up like ripping open, like I had some like art pieces that were like matted already and they opened them up in the back to like look. And then on the back of one of the papers that I did a portrait on, it said Mars, like in the same throwy that was in the picture of the photo album. And then the principal was like, you're a liar. That's it. You're expelled. And they expelled me from school and I got arrested and it was like such a big deal. And I was like, okay.
No.
But you know, normally something like that would deter people from like never doing any illegal activity. But I was like, fuck that shit. And like, I didn't care. I was like, that, you know what? This is just the start of like probably a lot of shit that's going to happen to me for involving myself in illegal activities, which I love to do. So
What a great story. All right. Oh, yes. Let's applaud that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you really had to show some muscles and everything. So something that we talked with Freaky in a previous podcast, being a female graffiti artist, writer.
Yeah.
How much do you had to prove yourself? Because this is a man's world. I mean, we talk about this.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
For me, mostly, I was just very naive when I first started. I was just like, everybody wants to be my friend. And I would just like be like, oh, this guy wants to talk to me because he thinks I'm cool and he wants to do graffiti. But no, you know, sometimes people have ulterior motives. And it's fine. I was just very naive, you know, and now I know better. So, you know, I kind of got like a weird reputation when I first started as being like one of the few only girls that was actually doing graffiti in Miami. So like, you know, it kind of sucked. But for the most part, like I actually like graffiti and I didn't start doing it because of dudes. And that's one of the things that graffiti dudes will say. They'll be like, oh yeah, that girl just does graffiti because her boyfriend does graffiti or some shit. And that was never me. I got into graffiti because of my cousin, Scape. He writes Scape. And he's a muralist now too. So like, you know, I kind of follow in his footsteps a lot, but you know, he was an amazing artist growing up and he was one of my biggest inspirations when I was, you know, young and like getting into art. He would draw all the comics. Like he had amazing technique at such a young age. And, you know, that really inspired me. So like being around my cousin and his friends, Day Crew, shout out to Day Crew.
All right.
So being with Scape and Diaz and Script, like they really like, you know, motivated me to like, you know, just be myself and just go out there and have the confidence to be a girl in the scene, you know. And they protected me, you know, they kept me safe and they gave me advice and it was fun, you know. And just because of my passion, like I was able to just keep going. And that's just one of the main things that like people now, they give me my props finally, just because I've been in the game for so long and I'm actually probably more up than a lot of those people that were even trying to criticize me back then.
You are getting up. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I get benched a lot and that's pretty cool. So like, you know, that's another reason why I like to do it, because I've never been the type of person to like want to promote my graffiti as much now and like other people take pictures of my stuff, and then it feels good, you know, to see people actually be inspired by what you do and then just be like, wow, like you're a girl. And then there's other girls too that are trying to be in the scene also. And like I've always been really open with females because like I appreciate that, you know, they're trying to be a part of something that is very male dominated. And unfortunately, girls always get a bad rap because, you know, they're like, oh, girls are catty and they always want to fight. But like I'm really nice. So like unless you give me a problem to not like you, like there's really no reason for me to not like you.
No reason.
Yeah. Like, and even there's been people in the scene that hate me and I don't even know who they are. Like I don't know who they really are. I've never hung out with them. They've never had a conversation with me. And it's females and they just don't like me because of whatever insecurity they have. But it took me a while to realize that, you know, it wasn't even me that was making these people or women act like this. It was more just like their own insecurities. But my main thing is like, I want all females to feel confident. I want all females to be like, you know, happy in their own scene and what they're doing. So if they want to be a part of graffiti, then they should, you know, embrace what they have and not hate on other people, because what's the point? You know, if you get to know me, like I have a lot of things I can teach and share and show. But if you're gonna be a fucking bitch, then get the fuck away from me.
All right. Okay, you heard it. You heard it from Mars. So don't stick around. Watch out what you're saying. So
No.
right now you mentioned that you've been working a lot lately with Freaky. So
Yes.
she was on a podcast not too long ago,
Yes.
a
Yes.
week ago.
I love
So,
Freaky.
but years ago when I first met you, you used to get along with Miss Lushy. Is that something
yes.
yes? I mean, you
love
guys were
Lushy.
inseparable at the
That-
time.
We still are. It's just, we have life and stuff, and
Of course.
like she focuses a lot on her brand as well. So I really do try to like make time to like paint with her, because she's like one of the few favorite people I like to paint with. Like there's not a lot of people I like to paint with, and she's definitely one of my favorite people to paint with. And yeah, and we still paint. We were just in St. Louis together with Few and Far at Paint Louis.
Yes.
And, they put us together, which was amazing. And, I always have a great time with her. And she loves painting trains too. So, like, that's one girl that I know that I can be like, hey, let's go paint a train. And, she's all about it.
She's all about it.
Yeah,
yes.
hell yeah. And she's really good too with fonts and letters. And she always matches my energy. So, like,
She's got a great energy.
I love Lushy. Yeah, she's my sister. And same thing with Freaky Kiss. Like Freaky Kiss is also like my sister too. Like I really don't like to keep people around me that aren't gonna like reciprocate the same kind of energy. So like I really don't have a lot of friends that I paint with.
Yeah. I ran into Lushy at the Museum of Graffiti.
Oh yeah.
A couple of months ago, she was giving some classes, and
Oh
I
my
had
God,
that little kid, that little tap tunes. Who was on a podcast? Yes. Oh,
yeah, he's amazing.
He's absolutely
And
amazing.
Lushy's been mentoring him and giving him lessons and stuff, and that's amazing. Like I used to do like art therapy with Lushy. We used to work for a nonprofit together at the Motivational Edge in Alapata. And that was an amazing job that we had together. We worked at a psychiatric inpatient called Citrus Health, and we worked with a lot of youth that were abused, sexually, and they were basically taken from their parents because they weren't able to some of these kids had mental issues and stuff, and a lot of depression. And through the program Motivational Edge, we would bring art therapy, and it was called Urban Arts. So me and Lushy would teach a class together, and we would teach the girls there how to do graffiti and like canvases and letters and stuff. So I stopped doing that stuff because I unfortunately have a record for my my endeavors, but
Diverse, yes.
yes, but Lushy was able to keep her slate very clean, and she's continuing to work with the kids and therapy, and I love it. So right now, she's doing the graffiti classes at the museum, and it's amazing to see kids be inspired.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And the parents nurturing that art, that passion for the art.
It's important.
It's very, very
Like
important.
so important.
It's a proven thing that the school results are so much greater when the kids are in art.
Yes, because they're happy, they're creating, they're using the other side of their brain where with math and science, it's like the right answer is the right answer. But in art,
One answer.
there is no right answer. With art, when I worked with the kids, they would always be like, oh, but I want you to do it. Like, I want you to do it so it looks good. And I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is that you have to develop your style, and there is no right or wrong. The way you do
No
it,
right or wrong,
the way you do it, that's your style, and that's how it's going to look. And, that's an amazing style because you created it. And, like, no one else can have that style unless they copy you. But
Yeah. So you mentioned a few minutes ago, and we mentioned that with the other artists who had on a podcast, that crew, Few and Far, these girls are getting up also.
Oh my
She's
God.
also such a
super
women
inspiring.
power. And
100%. I've always thought Few and Far was an amazing group of girls that just really were great at creating not only art, so they're extremely talented, but just creating this vibe where women and anybody really can just come and just vibe and be a part of it and not have to feel left out. They were really good at inclusion,
At inclusion, yes.
Yeah, including people. And the founder, Mimi, she's an amazing graffiti artist, graffiti writer. Mimi is definitely a woman that a lot of other girls look up to. So shout out to Mimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That this is definitely a good crew. And they were here like 2 years ago, I think, at Win 317.
Oh, yeah.
For the 10 years anniversary of the cruise.
Yes.
They painted some walls
That
outside.
was amazing. And like, I love Mimi when she was here. Like sometimes, she'll ask me to come help her with stuff because she works for Monster Energy Drink. So like they always have like their Winwood thing. And like she's actually hired me to help her, which is fun too. So like it's been cool to be around that type of energy, like, empowered females.
Empowered females, of course. That's what we have to talk about.
Yeah.
That's what we have to give you props for everything that you have done.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I mean, this is, that's what we say. You had to show some muscles. And even if they are on your record right now.
Yeah. It's all right. I don't, like, that's the thing. I'm not trying to be a lawyer or a doctor or some sort of office person where like they have to run a background check. I was sad when I couldn't work with the kids anymore because of my record, but it's not like I was arrested for any sort of violent crimes. It's all like literally like loitering and like really stupid stuff like trespassing and I took all that stuff to trial. It all got dropped, but regardless, it's just not a good look when they when they look you up and they're like, oh, so you got charged with a felony. Okay.
All right. Well, so, but anyway, you're still doing your art, doing your stuff.
Yep.
Getting up.
Not going to stop.
No, why would you stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a freight train. It's unstoppable.
Oh, yeah. Don't get in the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't get in the way. Don't get in my way.
I'm just kidding.
Well, why would you be kidding? This is, yes.
I play nice.
Play nice.
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a nice girl.
That's you a little bit. Oh, yeah. So you're not a sick girl. You're just a nice girl.
Yeah, I'm a nice girl. I play nice.
So anyway, Mars, this is the time we have for this podcast. Thank you so much. This was a great conversation.
It was amazing. Thank you for
Good to hear from you. Good to hear all these real stories from real artists.
You always bring the best vibes. So like talking to you is so fun. So thank you for having me.
That's just, we have to, and that's what I've been trying to do for the past 10 years, 12 years now, to document that art scene in Miami, in South Florida, and you're definitely part of it.
Thank you.
Worked your ass off to put your name on the street, to put your name everywhere on the train, having all these people watching, waiting for the next train to see if your name is on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these benchers, kudos to them. Kudos to all the graffiti scene that we have here in the Miami, in Wynwood. Kudos to the Museum of Graffiti. I mention them quite often because they are doing their part.
Oh my gosh, are they? They've been a really good thing to happen to. Well, not a lot of good things have happened to Wynwood, and they were one of the better things, one of the best things that's happened in Wynwood, just because they do it for the graffiti scene, and they do it justice.
They do it justice, and they do it right, and then everybody can appreciate graffiti. Mm-hmm. They are teaching the people who don't really have any understanding of the tagging, of the graffiti.
All of it,
who kind of look at it down and say, well, okay.
Yeah, they've been able to, also, because I know, they have, the old school writers, like Lady Pink and stuff, and Cornbread, and all those old school guys that just started off in the vandalism graffiti scene, and the art scene, the gallery scenes would be that's just graffiti, that's not art, it's vandalism. And then now look, they're literally in galleries, and they're world famous just because they started off doing graffiti.
Yeah, graffiti is galleries and museums too. They're just
oh yeah,
this is an auction houses.
Yeah. It's been really cool to see graffiti evolve in that way. Really cool, because I used to get made fun of for doing graffiti in high school, and all my friends that didn't do graffiti, and even after high school when I was still doing graffiti, they'd be like, "You're still doing graffiti?" And they would literally talk down to me just because I was still doing graffiti. But then now 15, 20 years later, they're like, "Can you do a canvas for me for my office? Or can you paint my kids' room for me? And I want my man cave decorated." And it's oh, okay, so now I'm cool. Okay.
Now you're cool. All right, here's the bill.
Exactly.
Oh, you got to make a living.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's all right. So thank you so much. This was an absolutely incredible conversation. All right.
Thanks for having
This
me.
was fun. All right. So thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. We'll see you next week. Don't miss a bit because I don't know who we're going to have next week, but I'm sure it's going to be some nice and juicy stories because we want the real stories from real people who have something to say. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right. And have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye now. Thank you.